anyways, my dad basically, like, has this big belief, like, that black people are poor because they just don't work hard. And for him, it just becomes, like, he says these things like, oh, if you, like, try harder, you would have gotten a job. But, like, what racism really is, like, within the system is just the fact that a black person is trying to get a job and will never be offered one.
They did a study about that. They did one with, like, women versus men as well.
Yeah, like Jane and John.
But they would present white and black candidates for a job with the exact same resume.
Yep.
And I don't remember the percentage, but it was the majority that the white person would get the job. And that is so ingrained in our culture that it's going to take a long time to fix. Just like, you know, the wage gap has taken a very long time to fix and isn't fixed completely.
We're working on it.
But especially in current times with the Islamophobia in our country and on a global level, it's just an atrocity that...
Hashtag Brexit!
It's just an atrocity, kind of hard to wrap your mind around and it's almost weird because we, especially growing up in Fairfield County in Connecticut, in the United States, in an affluent area, I've never even seen a mosque in my life. I have one friend in my friend group who is Muslim because our school population is so not diverse. And, like,
I am literally the token child. Like, I am the token that they can be like, oh, we have diversity. That is my purpose in the school.
And look at you go.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Bam.
But, like, it's just, we grew up in such a sheltered community that's just not a culture that we are exposed to. So all that we can do to prevent being offensive ourselves or saying something wrong is educate ourselves, which is a huge part of why I wanted to take CompGov. Like, yes, it's a really interesting topic, but also I feel obligated to learn about these other cultures because they're constantly in the news and because they're constantly being, like, oppressed. And if you aren't doing anything, you're contributing to the problem. Not, you know, not like you're not a horrible person, but doing nothing, it's like being a bystander to an assault, pretty much. And just on a bigger scale.
And it's like,
perfect transition to China.
Yeah. So, I was watching John Mulaney, and he talked about when he was younger, his dad would just be like, oh, I saw Bob get pushed off the slide. I was on the swings. And his dad was like, why didn't you defend Bob? And his dad kind of made, like, this big, like, analogy how, like, he was, like, he was not a Nazi, but was like a Nazi because he wouldn't help the Jewish people. And, like, I'm not gonna say, like, everyone who's, like, not educating themselves is a Nazi, but,
no, that is such a good transition to China right now.
It's like, if you're not educated and you don't have the information to make a claim, don't make it.
Yeah, and that can be applied to literally any political topic you want.
People now assume that because they have an opinion,
they have knowledge.
They're right. Or they have knowledge.
Or they're educated on it. Mm-hmm. But, like, I could walk into 16 Handles and be like, frozen yogurt is made from dogs. And if I say it with confidence...
Stop, we're eating!
It's not made with dogs. And, like, I could get someone to believe me. Or I could at least start a conversation. And what Christine was saying with John Mulaney and how he didn't help his friend on the playground, and his dad basically told him, like, well, you know, the people who didn't stop the Nazis were as bad as the Nazis.
Yeah.
And this is what's happening in China right now, today, in the past few months. Mm-hmm. If you guys don't know, because there hasn't been news coverage on it.
Because communism.
Anywhere. Literally anywhere. There is an entire Muslim ethnic group being put in internment camps with forced labor, torture, and executions in China right now as an ethnic cleansing scheme by the government who does not want any religion other than
the government.
President Xi is God in their eyes. And you cannot be anything other than pretty much traditional Chinese values.
And here's the thing, like, most people don't know about it. Like, in China, people don't know.
When I learned about these camps, they'd been going on for, like,
2 years, maybe?
I don't know. It's like, I don't know how people I mentioned this once at a conversation I think in the career center, and everyone was like, "What are you talking about?" Like that was what, like 50 years ago, and I was like,
No, this
No,
was
it's
like
now.
like last yesterday.
"This isn't." I do not ever make a comparison to like. We're back because Christine's parents just called and yelled at her in Chinese. Well, I did not know what was happening. To go and buy the Powerball tickets.
She said 10 tickets picked by machines. They're $2 each. It's for a friend. They're not for my
Right.
But they're for a friend. I honestly think they're for my dad.
Okay.
For my dad. But we
As
were
I
talking.
was saying, on
we
a
were,
very different note.
Yeah, we were talking about the Uyghurs in China,
Yes.
and they are the camps are in Xinjiang, basically the northern mountainous area of China, and like it's very hard to like
live there.
live there, get in there. Like it's a lot. Also, I'm volunteering there in the summer, so if I get arrested and don't go to college in the fall, you'll know where to find me, kids. Thank you.
Please have the embassy on speed dial. But as I was saying, I don't ever, and no one should ever, make a comparison to the Holocaust lightly, but this is a very similar situation to the beginnings of that entire scenario, because you have the government led by pretty much a dictator. He's the president, but he's a dictator.
Oh, and he just passed that thing where he could rule for life.
Yeah, so he did. President Xi Jinping of China did just pass a law saying that he could be president for life, which ends the final shred of democracy in that country.
Yay!
But you have the government basically doing an ethnic cleanse of the country and saying we only want people who have, well, they really only want like people who are Chinese.
Han Chinese, yeah.
But they also only want people who practice and have traditional Chinese values. And anyone caught worshiping Islam, like, I think I might be wrong on this, and I totally own that, but I think they might be even just wearing hijabs.
I have no idea. This is beyond my knowledge.
I'm not totally sure about that one, but I know that anyone caught worshiping Islam, talking about Ayah, is like jailed and sent to internment camps.
And like the thing about these camps is like they're not just like hard labor. Like there's also like this brainwashing element of it where it's like you're forced to sing like the national anthem every day, and you're forced to like read this literature about like how great the country is. And that to me, like, hard labor is bad. Like I will never be a person to be like, hard labor's fine. No, but like
that's stripping of culture.
Yes. Re-education is on a different scale because of like how important education is to like mold someone, or to have someone to have like their own beliefs or their own values, and that's just gone because of what the government decides to do.
Yeah, like I grew up going to religious ed every Tuesday afternoon, and like in the basement of Notre Dame of Easton until
atheist for the win, y'all.
until 8th grade. And like we don't really go to church anymore after the whole Catholic church thing, and that happened with the priest in my dad's church, so he's had beef with them for a while. Yeah, so
oh my god.
But so they pretty much were waiting for me to get confirmed and then maybe convert to like Protestant or something. But so we don't really go to church anymore, but I grew up, with religion as part of my life. Like, we weren't perfect churchgoers, and my parents, like, once we got older, they were like, I mean, you don't have to come if you don't want to.
It's like these values.
Exactly. But, like, I thinking in how children and just anyone in that camp must feel right now, like, that must feel so, like, dehumanizing. And, like, you must feel so powerless, because, like, something that I learned as a child that's ingrained in my mind, like I can cite Genesis for you right now, but like I just can't imagine being just completely stripped of that while being tortured and made to do hard labor while my entire nation and community is being completely ripped out of China and from the world. And there's no news coverage, which just accentuates the racism of the media and of the world.
And like, basically, to finish, educate yourselves. like, be grateful that you have access to all this knowledge, all this, like, work, all this great literature, all this, like, different opinions. We should be grateful that we, like, even though as much as, like, we complain about Barlow every single day of our lives, like, we should be grateful that we are in this great school system.
I remember one time I was doing I was reading the textbook for AP ComGov, and I had like 50 pages, and the test was in like 3 days, and I was just sitting there with the book closed on my desk, and I was like, I don't want to do this. Like, I was like, it was like 11 p.m. and I was like, oh my god, I hate this. And so once I finally started, we were on the, what unit was it?
China, Cultural Revolution, right? That was for me, at least.
No, it was it was Iran. It was at the very beginning of the Iran unit. And I was reading about the effects of the wars, including the war with the U.S. And,
okay.
And then I was going online to, like, supplement my notes, and I was just reading about, like, just the effects of this on children, and just the complete lack of, like, access to the things that we have. And I was like, I can't believe that I just spent, like, 15 minutes groaning about my homework when I get to be educated like this. Like, I get all this for free too, because I go to public school. I pay nothing except for, like, the AP exam fees. I was like,
$600.
Facts. Okay, we'll get to the College Board another day.
And the college scandal. And Harvard case. I have so much.
Next episode.
Stay tuned.
But I was just like, I can't believe I get this for free. Like, I get teachers who are passionate about their jobs. They like teaching us, and they are just so, like, kindly just throwing up all this knowledge for us to have, and then we complain about it. And, like, this is the only way that the world is going to improve and, like, learn how to coexist and, like, work with one another. And then once we get past that, we can grow with one another and, like, use our resources for good and helping each other. And the only way we can do that is if we learn about each other. Is if you get every racist person to just read the ComGov textbook, understand that the religion of Islam is not founded in violence, but in fact in peace. And if you read a little bit of the Quran, like I did, you
see parallels.
Yeah, like, Islam is not. It's like if you took Catholicism and a little bit of Buddhism and you blended them. That's Islam. Like, they have one God, we have one God. Like, I mean, that's like that's like the worst, like, the most easy similarity. But
the whole idea of, like,
you
peace, unity, community, and, like,
we only learn that we're not different from each other when we're learning that we're not different from each other.
And it's only when you're learning about all these different cultures and all these different ethnic groups is when you finally realize that we are together in this.
And we have to solve the problem of climate change as a planet, so we better figure something out fast.
'Cause
2 episodes from now.
Okay, thank you for doing this. We are now going to go buy Powerball tickets.